Terence Crawford has been hinting at a big fight against Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo has finally answered the call-out. When fans were originally wanting Terence to meet Canelo in the ring, Terence was worried about the weight difference between the two fighters. Terence stated, "No, not at all. Canelo really doesn't interest me because of the size factor. You don't know what weight Canelo's fighting at when he fights on top of that." He spoke about the possibility of doing a rematch against Errol Spence, or taking on Jermell Charlo next. Terence stated, "That's my obligation in the contract, and I got to honor that. If that's the next move for me and my career, I would definitely choose Jermell Charlo. It's an important fight. It's more past. It's more on the table." When Jermell was asked about the chance of fighting Terence after fighting Canelo, he made sure to point out that he's ready for that kind of challenge. Jermell stated, "Don't write a check you can't cash. I'm one of those ones. You gotta face me, I gotta see what you have. It's a pilot on a stove. When you light that stove a bunch of times, it bursts out. So sometimes I just hold back and allow it to idle in a position when I get done with." Canelo evidence. "I'm going to move on to that situation. I'll take care of everybody. I have to take care of after hearing that Terence changed his mind about fighting Canelo, and he seemed open to fighting whichever fighter ends up winning in the bout between Jermell and Canelo. Terence stated, my page is on, the big fights. I think if Canelo beats Charlo, that's the next fight to be made. If Spencer and I are not the next ones, I think that's the next fight to be made. Canelo. And after that, Spencer and I can fight, and then I can ride off into the future because I don't see how big of a fight with Charlo and Crawford will be coming off a loss. I never fought an opponent coming off a loss. If you look at all my career, I never fought an opponent coming off a loss because it wouldn't be meaningful to me or my career to beat someone that just lost. And then that opens the door to the media to say, oh, he just lost, so you just beat damaged goods. Or man, he was just fighting for the money. During Terence's fight against Errol Spence, he made sure to call out Jermell from the ring, and he had a lot to say.
What was you telling him while you was whooping this boy's ass? Because that was crazy.
I just told him and I told him some more shit, but okay. I ain't gonna say everything, but it was just heated moment. I just wanted to let him know how I felt and let him know that, I'm definitely coming for him because that's what I said I was gonna do.
It all comes down to who wins in the Jermell versus Canelo fight, and quite a few boxing pros are split on their choice.
I think Canelo wins. I think he's a legend of the game, and he's very, very intelligent. Charlo doesn't impress me as much, so I think Canelo wins, and yeah, it'll be a cracking fight, I guess. I will be there to watch it, keeping my eyes closed because I'd love to take on the winner. I remember Dad fought Julio Cesar Chavez, one of the greatest of all time. Good quote, your idols become your rivals, and always looked up to Canelo, and if one day a fight like that presents itself, of course I'll take it with both hands.
Andrew Holyfield thinks that Jermell has a good chance of winning if Andrew stated it should be a good fight. Both of the fighters are good warriors. If it goes the distance, I think Charlo is going to win. If it goes the distance, he's a good fighter with good stamina. I've seen the kid ever since he was 13 years old because I was training in Houston, Texas at the time, and he's a good boxer. I know Canelo is a good boxer, but Canelo is a little older, and I'm telling you it's time for the young to show the older guy you stand out too long and somebody's gonna get you. It's good to see how young people don't quit. Terence was torn on his choice as he sees what Jermell brings to the table, but he didn't seem to lean toward Canelo in the end. Terence stated, "I got Canelo. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Charlo, but he's skillful. He's a big boxer, and he's bigger than Canelo, even though Canelo is at a higher weight. I think Canelo is going to be stronger than him. I think Canelo is going to be more powerful than him, but at the same time, I think Charlo has the boxing skills to make it a tough fight. If he uses his jab and straight punches and doesn't get caught up with all the feints and stuff that Canelo throws, I think it'll be competitive." Well, after Jermell faces Canelo, there's always the possibility of Canelo winning, and quite a few. People seem to think that Terence has a good chance against Canelo. Terence's trainer Brian McIntyre thinks that Terence would have no trouble against Canelo. Brian stated in terms of getting to 168, Bud really walks around that weight. I don't see anything wrong with fighting up there, and Bud is one of those guys who loves pushing himself. We'll do what we've always done. We'll go in the classroom and pick it apart. Then we'll take what we've done in the classroom and put it in the gym so we can come out. Victorious Johnny Nelson doesn't think that Terence should go face Canelo, though, and he stated, "Don't do it. Don't do it, man. Listen, it's that simple. Don't do it." Canelo was a naturally strong boxer. Naturally strong. Terence Crawford is a skilled fighter. But so is Canelo, so if you're in against another skilled, talented, bigger punching fighter, you're going to get your butt kicked. We saw it before with Roy Jones. He stepped up to heavyweight and came back down. He was never the same boxer again. I wouldn't do it, but he knows what he's capable of doing. It just wouldn't be my call personally. Oscar De La Hoya seems to think that Crawford has more than a fighter's chance, and he thinks that he's the one that would win. Oscar stated that at 168, people might think, how can Crawford beat Canelo? That's not possible in boxing. The big, skilled fighter will always beat the small, talented fighter. That's a given. In Crawford's case, he's a big guy, but he doesn't rely on his power. He depends on his IQ. What he did give was magic. Incredible. Amazing. One thing about Canelo is that we all know that he walks in the ring as if there's wet cement. His footwork is a little too heavy. Crawford is such a smart boxer. He's like Bruce Lee. Literally, he's in his peak, his prime, so I think that if that fight ever happens, which I don't think it will, I have to go with Crawford. Shakur Stevenson thinks that Crawford could definitely beat Canelo.
I think Bud could beat Canelo. Like I said, I've been saying this. I don't think size win fights. I think skills do. So yeah, I think like being a southpaw with good movement and sharp boxing, it'd be hard for Canelo with that high guard to walk him down and load up on them big hooks. I think Bud would beat Canelo.
Crawford doesn't understand why so many people think that the fight is a ridiculous idea. Crawford stated why it is ridiculous. I meant what I said. Listen. That would be my opportunity to show everybody how great Terence Crawford really is if Canelo wins that fight. Charlo and I come up to 168 and challenge him from undisputed at his weight, and that fight happens. Then you know, man, I'm gonna just show everybody that skills pay the bills, and I've got the skills to do it all in that ring. Terence tried putting out a condition for a possible fight against Canelo at one point, though, and it would have Canelo cutting weight to meet Crawford more in the middle. Terence mentioned we can do something at a catch weight, probably 160 pounds or something, 158. Yeah, 158, 160. That would be cool. Canelo wasn't sure about taking the fight due to the weight difference, and he stated, "Look, I respect Crawford. He's a great boxer. Sometimes it's crazy that people are talking about me facing a small fighter like Charlo. He's big. Everybody's talking about if I'm going to fight Crawford, a fighter who goes at 147, who is smaller than Charlo. I don't understand. I'm fighting Charlo, who is 2 weight classes smaller than me, and then you're talking about Crawford. I'm not going to get credit for fighting Crawford, but you never know in boxing. It's possible. Why not? If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.